Yes.
Okay. So we we want to talk specifically about what is happening in Dallas and the efforts that they're making to become not just a more welcoming place, but a place that's very strategically seeking after ways in which individuals, employees can connect and engage with employers and opportunities, in the community. And so today we're with Mary Elizabeth, as well as Vanna as well, from the Dallas Office of Welcoming Communities and Immigrant Affairs. And so I just want to hear a little bit from you about the history of establishing this office in Dallas and kind of what led to that, and learn a little bit more of how that plays into where you think things are headed in Dallas.
Great.
Yeah, so kind of give us a little background. What led to the formation of the Office of Welcoming Communities and Immigrant Affairs, and especially, I know that the most recent, or at least one thing I'm excited to learn a little bit about, is the adoption of the Welcoming Dallas Strategic Plan. So give us a little bit of background on that.
So Dallas certainly became a welcoming community well before the city of Dallas established an Office of Welcoming Communities and Immigrant Affairs. And I say that because people for decades in Dallas, from the faith-based and nonprofit and community leaders, have been working in the resettlement and immigration services space for a number of years. And over time, at least in my lifetime, we know that our diverse community has changed, or the population has shifted dramatically. To the point that now today we have a quarter of our population in Dallas who come from somewhere else, another country. Are you still there, Chris? Because I see something popping up on my screen.
Yeah, that's fascinating. A quarter of the of individuals coming from somewhere else outside of the U.S. That's incredible.
Right, and so as the population has shifted, of course, our community has changed, and needs have changed, and this office is established with the mission of adapting and embracing the change that has occurred because of the dynamic nature of our community. And so it was over a decade ago, actually, that community leaders had started talking about Dallas getting involved in being leaders in creating a municipal office related to immigration affairs. And those conversations lasted about a year. And both myself and Vanna were participants, and it was really jettisoned by the National Council of Jewish Women and other community leaders to advocate city government, city leaders to create an Office of Immigration Affairs. It picked up some traction, and we worked on a few things together. But it wasn't until 10 years later that I guess the idea became ripe for implementation and development of this Office of Welcoming Communities and Immigrant Affairs. But if you work in the immigration space, as you do, in helping companies and refugees find employment, et cetera, you know that there's a lot of resilience and a lot of determination and a lot of patience that rings true for people who are involved in these types of initiatives. So
yes, absolutely.
the same people that were at that table that where we talked about the need for a municipal office over 10 years ago are still at the table, helping us build the apparatus, the framework, the ideas, the implementation. And so it just goes to show that you never know what it might take to turn an idea into a real policy. But we have seen that determination come to fruition.
Yeah, so talk specifically about the strategic plan and just the excitement around where you think that will lead.
So we tried in scoping out the office. We had some ideas of what the immediate needs were, having worked in the space for a number of years, but we didn't want to miss any ideas. And the first thing we did was launch a survey among community leaders who either were immigrants themselves or worked with immigrants in various spectrum, business owners to community developers to people who work in faith-based initiatives, et cetera, college academics, et cetera. And we asked them a few just very general questions like you're asking me. What are the biggest barriers to integrate for an immigrant to be welcomed or integrated into the community, et cetera? And what we heard was a resounding response that there was a sense of fear and instability within the community as a result of ramped up rhetoric and also policy developments. So we wanted to make sure that we were addressing the most immediate needs from the get-go, and that was trying to create a sense of welcome, right? A message, a communication of welcome. And so one of the first things we did was gather around people who were interested in developing a plan for being strategic about welcoming. And it turned out to be, we asked about over 80 people, and about over 80 people said yes, to come to the table and talk about how do we as a community address the needs and the fears of our neighbors. And that really was, in essence, the question that we asked: how could Dallas be welcoming? And certainly not rhetorical, is we really wanted to know everybody who's at that table's ideas about how could we be strategically welcoming, and out of that open conversation, develop this strategic plan.
I love that, and I love that there was so much interest and participation across the board from the 80 people you engaged with, and kind of how things have slowly progressed, and you've been diligent in that process. So we highlight Welcoming America in the book and their process of helping cities become certified as welcoming. And certainly that's just kind of a label that we're putting on it, but I know it requires a lot of effort on your part. So what has that process been like, and the pursuit of really one of the largest cities to become a welcoming city here over the next few months?
Well, I don't want to act like we did it all by ourselves, because we were really fortunate that at the same time, Welcoming America and Welcoming America and New American Economy had developed a national initiative called Gateways for Growth. And we immediately seized that opportunity to apply, and were named one of the recipients of a Gateways for Growth award. And what that did was provide us technical assistance and policy research that was made available to us about how immigrants are performing in the economy, demographically, and also gave us a framework for moving the strategy forward. And that's how we became familiarized with the certification process that Welcoming America provides.
Excellent. What do you feel like are some of the challenges, because of the size of the Dallas area and the region, that may make it a little bit more difficult to achieve that certification as a welcoming city compared to smaller communities?
Do you want to weigh in on that, Vanna?
Sure. I think that Dallas is so large, as you say, and dispersed, and there are a number of issues at play in Dallas right now that, as is happening in a lot of major municipalities, big cities, where affordable housing is driving immigrants to the suburbs for more affordable living. I think that's a challenge that we're facing right now. I think also it didn't used to be this way, but immigrants used to be clustered, and refugees used to be clustered in specific neighborhoods and specific parts of town. And that is not the case anymore at all. We had our GIS map out where foreign-born individuals live on maps of the city of Dallas, and each dot represents 50 people, and these maps are just full of dots all over the city boundaries. So that makes for programming for one thing is more challenging, because refugees and immigrants live everywhere, and so that is posing a big challenge in terms of meeting and having a solid message of welcome, when the people you want to feel welcomed are literally everywhere across our city.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to meet that challenge, we have initially focused on programs and initiatives that could cast a wide net and include as many people as possible in the service delivery. For example, one of the first things that we did and programmatically was establish a campaign for citizenship, and it's called #MyDallasCitizenship. And we were able to, with a pro bono media provider, which gave us over $150,000 worth of media free to get the word out to residents that we were having a citizenship workshop, and all were welcome to come and be a part of it. And if they qualified for citizenship, then that day we would have experts in tow to provide them that very service, so that they left at the end of the day with an envelope stamped and ready to be sealed and sent to USCIS for citizenship. And we were impressed by the outcome and by the response, because we didn't ask for anybody to sign up. We just let the message be known that we were going to be at the library downtown, ready to help, and they had to come. Then they were welcome. On the other end, we were ramping up our volunteer efforts so that we had enough volunteers to actually serve as many as 500 people. So we were super satisfied with the outcome, and we continue to be. And now we have, as a result of the plan, an initiative that's funded so that we could help nonprofits who are in this space develop further their opportunities for growth through the city, to be a part of our citizenship efforts. So now they will be helping us ramp up. They've been doing it already from a volunteer perspective, but now we have small fund and funding to provide to nonprofits.
That's awesome. And that's a great way to collaborate with them as well. All right. Well, last question for you. What is the future impact of really engaging these efforts to become a more welcoming community? What's the outcome? What are you hoping for? And what have what do you see coming?
Well, for the same reasons that Vanna addressed about the challenges of being a diverse community, being a large community, being people living and throughout the whole city, et cetera, that challenge is also our opportunity, right? Because immigrants and refugees live throughout the city, we don't find necessarily the same challenges that we have that we have historically had of people being separated from one another. So using that challenge of being everywhere to our advantage as an opportunity, right? In the case of what you're doing, right? Of working with employers and nonprofits and community people to help and reach out to immigrants and refugees about integrating into the economy, right? And so that's really our next set of opportunities that we're seizing upon, is developing an economic opportunity coordinator position so that somebody on our staff can be dedicated to drawing lines between all the dots that exist in that ecosystem, right? Because we know some people come with skills like engineering and medical and teaching, and other people have not had the benefit or the blessing of a formal education. So there's a variety of people who are coming into our city, and so it's really addressing people where they are and helping them fulfill their dreams for their families to move into the economy in ways that are meaningful and sustainable for themselves.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. Obviously, I know there's the stats show over 30% of the labor force in Dallas Metro are immigrants, and so I'm just excited for how the narrative is continuing to evolve and the reputation of Dallas continuing to evolve to become a more welcoming place. And I think our country will benefit from that, other cities following in your footsteps. So thank you for what you and your team are doing and all the others that are engaging in this process. I think we're all better for it. So thank you for taking a few minutes to share your perspective with us, Liz and Vanna. And we look forward to continuing to learn from where things go from here.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for you're doing at Amplio. And we look forward to future collaborations, hopefully. And we have a long ways to go, but we have a lot of desire.
Excellent. Well, we're right there with you, and yeah, thank you for all your work, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.